Nairobi at night, the city buzzing with lights and life. Aking is walking home when her phone buzzes with a new voice note. Curiosity pulls her to press play, and suddenly she hears Kamau laughing, bragging about secrets he shouldn't even share. Her eyes widen. The words sting. The screen flashes a title card, "Cheat Exposed Fire." Her heart races. She can't believe what she's hearing. Memories of their time together flood her mind, fun nights in Kilimani, lazy afternoons in South B, all the dreams they planned with her best friend Wanjiru. Everything feels different now. The bond she thought was unbreakable suddenly seems fragile. She remembers the day at the barbershop when Kamau had that same confident, careless smile. She wonders if anyone else heard the things he boasted about. That voice note now feels like a key, unlocking a betrayal she never saw coming. Every laugh, every shared secret, every inside joke flashes like a warning sign she missed. Her pulse quickens as she thinks about the digital breadcrumbs, the rides from Westlands to Parklands, the overlap in Diani, the casual encounters at Karura. Even when small hints start to make sense. She knows she has to act, to see the truth for herself, and maybe even catch him in the act. By the time she reaches Ngong Road, she has a plan. A rooftop dinner with all the memories they shared, her cousin secretly filming. Tonight, the truth will come out. Kamau won't be able to hide. Tonight, she's not just exposing a cheat, she's taking her power back. Aking, Kamau, and Wanjiru had always been inseparable. Growing up, their worlds were a mix of vibrant streets, school memories, and endless dreams. Aking and Wanjiru came from South B, their friendship formed in the dusty lanes of their neighborhood, sharing lunch boxes, school secrets, and late-night phone calls about everything and nothing. Kilimani was a different world, buzzing with cafes, loud traffic, and bright lights, where Aking met Kamau. He was charming, confident, the kind of guy who made her laugh even on the worst days. Slowly, the trio became a unit, Aking and Kamau in their growing romance, and Wanjiru always nearby, the glue that held their friendship strong. They had plans. Big plans. Weekend trips to Karura, late-night food runs, dreamt-up businesses they'd start together, and long talks about their futures. They imagined a life where they all succeeded, where loyalty and love went hand in hand. Wanjiru teased Kamau about his obsession with shoes and Aking about her endless phone scrolling, but it was all laughter and love. In South B, they shared secrets in small rooms, on verandas lit by dim bulbs, where nothing ever felt dangerous or uncertain. Kilimani brought a different kind of energy, a mix of ambition, romance, and the thrill of possibilities. Aking thought she could trust Kamau completely, the way Wanjiru trusted her. She believed in the tight bond they shared, the kind that could weather any argument or misunderstanding. She laughed at his jokes, rolled her eyes at his teasing, and felt a warmth whenever they were together. Every plan they made, every memory they stored, felt like it was part of an unshakable foundation. It wasn't just about love, it was about loyalty, friendship, and the belief that no one could come between them. But beneath the laughter and the late-night dreams, small cracks began to form. Sometimes Kamau would seem distracted, his phone always just out of reach. Wanjiru would hint at things Aking didn't immediately understand. Still, Aking ignored the tiny signs because she wanted to believe in them, in the perfect triangle they had built. She didn't know that what they had in Kilimani and South B, love, sisterhood, friendship, was about to be tested in ways she couldn't yet imagine. The stakes were higher than just heartbreak, it was about trust, betrayal, and realizing that even the strongest bonds could snap. And once those cracks showed, there would be no going back to the world they had imagined together. It started like any ordinary Saturday at the local barbershop in Kilimani. The hum of clippers filled the room, mixed with laughter, music, and the occasional shout from someone waiting for a haircut. Aking had gone to pick up Kamau after a quick errand, not suspecting that this day would change everything. Kamau was relaxed, leaning back in the barber chair, talking louder than usual, the kind of voice that wanted attention. He laughed as he boasted about the women he had been seeing, the trips he had taken, and even some secrets that only someone close to Wanjiru would know. His words spilled carelessly, like they weren't meant to be heard beyond the buzzing barbershop walls. Unbeknownst to him, Otieno, a mutual friend who often hung around the shop, had his phone discreetly recording. He didn't intend to create drama, he just found Kamau's arrogance entertaining. But as the clip played back later, the gravity of what Kamau had said became undeniable. Every boast, every detail, matched things Wanjiru had shared with Aking in confidence, things only someone truly close to their circle would know. It wasn't just flirting or harmless bragging, it was a betrayal hidden in laughter and casual words. Aking felt her stomach tighten when Otieno showed her the recording. Listening to Kamau laugh on the voice note, Aking could hear the arrogance in his tone, the way he acted proud of secrets that weren't his to share. She felt a rush of disbelief, a mix of hurt and anger. Wanjiru's face flashed in her mind, the way she had confided personal stories, the way she trusted Kamau to be a friend, and now the proof that trust had been broken. Every detail in that voice note lined up perfectly, and suddenly, what had seemed like small worries before became undeniable evidence. Aking replayed the note over and over, each time noticing something new. The barbershop laughter in the background, the way Kamau mentioned a Diani trip that overlapped with Wanjiru's story, the casual mentions of late-night rides from Westlands to Parklands. Every tiny piece added up, painting a picture she didn't want to see but couldn't ignore. She felt betrayed, not just by Kamau, but by the illusion of the perfect bond they had all shared. Otieno watched quietly, sensing the storm that was about to hit. Aking's mind raced, should she confront Kamau now, or gather more proof first? Could she even trust her own judgment after hearing all this? The recording was more than just a secret captured, it was a key that unlocked the truth about what Kamau had been hiding, and it was clear that the next steps would change everything. The laughter from the barbershop now felt like mockery, and Aking realized she could no longer ignore the signs. Something had to be done, and soon, because the life she thought she had with Kamau and Wanjiru was about to be tested in ways she never imagined. Aking sat on her bed, phone in hand, heart racing as she replayed the voice note again. The shock from Kamau's brag at the barbershop had barely settled, and now her mind was buzzing with questions. She needed answers, and she wasn't going to rely on guesswork. She started digging. First came the receipts, Uber rides, small cafe orders, even a delivery from a boutique in Westlands. Each one seemed harmless on its own, but lined up together, they told a story. There were rides from Westlands to Parklands at odd hours, times Kamau had claimed he was busy or alone. She noticed patterns, small overlaps with Wanjiru's stories about her own trips and routines. It wasn't proof yet, but it was a breadcrumb trail that couldn't be ignored. Next came the digital side. Aking scrolled through old messages, screenshots, and tagged locations. Every little check-in, every social media post that seemed casual suddenly had weight. The Diani trip that Kamau had casually mentioned in his brag overlapped perfectly with Wanjiru's family vacation dates. At first, she thought it was coincidence, but the more she pieced together, the less it felt that way. Even casual mentions of Karura Park in passing messages matched sightings Wanjiru had told her about. It was like a puzzle, and the pieces were slowly falling into place. Then there was Mwend, a friend who knew Kamau in different circles. Aking called her, careful not to reveal too much. Mwend dropped hints casually, almost like she was testing the waters. You know, sometimes people brag about things they shouldn't. Makes you wonder who's really honest. It was small, subtle, but it hit Aking like a spark. Mwend didn't know the whole story, but what she said confirmed what Aking had already started to suspect. Every new piece of information made the picture clearer. The receipts, the ride histories, the overlaps in trips, the casual hints from friends. They all pointed to the same uncomfortable truth. Kamau hadn't just been careless in his words, there was a pattern, a history that now could no longer be ignored. Aking felt a mix of fear and determination. Fear because confronting the truth would hurt, and determination because she knew she had to see this through. She couldn't let herself be blind to what was happening around her. Hours passed as she pieced together the timeline, connecting dots like a detective. Each screenshot, each receipt, each whispered hint from friends added weight to the story she was uncovering. The evidence was building, the truth was coming into focus, and Aking realized that soon, she would have to make a move. She couldn't undo what had happened, but she could control how the story ended. The investigation wasn't just about catching Kamau, it was about reclaiming her own clarity, her own power, and making sure that when the time came, she would be ready to face everything head-on. The fight moved fast. Uwazi wasted no time. By the next morning, the emergency injunction was filed, freezing everything connected to the contested will. Kaya threw herself into tracking the bribery trail, knocking on doors and meeting sources in shadowy cafes. Amina hit the noisy aisles of Arya Market, moving from stall to stall, asking if anyone had seen Zuri or Madame Surwa's people near the registrar's office that night. Then came Yaumensa, Kojo's estranged cousin. He had stayed far from family drama for years, but as a forensic accountant, he knew how to follow money. He dug into the Umbil Trust and found it was nothing more than a shell, a fake front pushing Arya Logistics profits into offshore accounts linked to a fixer named Chuma Radebe, a man known for making rich people's problems disappear. At Harbor View Clinic, Nurse Lindai finally handed Amara the sealed envelope Kojo never collected. Her fingers shook as she opened it, only to find the report stamped with a single, frustrating word, inconclusive. The sample had been contaminated. No answers there, just more questions. Meanwhile, Kaya's digging had rattled Mr. Bako, the court clerk who had confirmed the will. Fearing exposure, he agreed to speak. He told them Madame Surwa's driver had delivered a pre-stamped ledger to the registrar's office after hours. No Kojo, no questions asked. It was exactly the kind of shortcut that made a forgery possible. Back in her apartment, Amara decided to listen to the old tape recorder she had found in Kojo's studio. She pressed play, and his voice filled the room, raw, tired, almost trembling. He admitted he was afraid. "I'll repair everything after the board vote," he said. "Amara deserves the life I promised." He didn't say Tariq wasn't his son. He didn't deny the boy. He only begged forgiveness for what he called his cowardice. Amara sat still, the weight of his words settling on her. For all the lies and betrayals, Kojo had been trapped too. But his fear had left her to clean the wreckage. She knew then that this fight wasn't just about her name or her share of the company. It was about tearing down the fraud without crushing a child who had no say in any of it. She made her choice. She would go after Madame Surwa, expose the bribery, and reclaim what was hers. But she would also protect Tariq, no matter what the DNA said in the end. The boy was innocent. The guilty were the ones who thought power and greed could bury the truth. The case was no longer just a defense, it was an attack. And for the first time since Kojo's funeral, Amara felt something burn hotter than humiliation. It was resolve, sharp and steady, ready to cut through every lie they had built. The rooftop was quiet except for the soft hum of the city below. Aking kept her voice light, chatting about the night, while inside, her heart was pounding. The slideshow played on the big screen, showing warm, happy memories, the kind that made Kamau relax and smile. Then, at the exact moment she had planned, Aking hit the switch. The images shifted, moving from innocent memories to pictures and clips that subtly hinted at the truth. The soundtrack changed too, fading in the voice note that had started this whole storm. Kamau's laughter from the barbershop, his bragging, filled the rooftop. The sound was unmistakable, and Aking could see the first flicker of confusion in his eyes. Kamau's confident smile faltered, but he tried to cover it, shaking his head as if it was all a joke. "This isn't real," he said, voice tight, but the shaking of his hands betrayed him. Wanjiru, who had been standing quietly nearby, froze as she recognized the details in the slideshow and the audio. Her expression shifted from confusion to shock, and finally, the crack appeared. "Kamau, you said, how could you?" she whispered, voice trembling. The proof was undeniable now. Every trip, every casual brag, every detail he had boasted about matched the life Wanjiru had shared in confidence. Kamau's denial sounded smaller, weaker, almost pathetic against the weight of evidence Aking had assembled. Aking stayed calm, letting the slides roll and the audio play. Each clip, each photo, each bragging line Kamau had spoken in that voice note landed like a hammer. She could see the realization hitting him, the panic growing in his eyes. He tried to speak, tried to explain, but the words stumbled and fell apart. Every ounce of charm he had used before was gone, replaced by the raw truth on the screen. The rooftop lights reflected off his face, showing every flicker of guilt and fear. Nuru captured it all, every flinch, every awkward glance, every moment Kamau could no longer hide behind a smile. For Aking, it was a mixture of relief and heartbreak. Relief because the truth was finally out, and heartbreak because someone she had trusted so completely had betrayed them both. Wanjiru stepped forward, anger and hurt written across her face, and the tension in the air was electric. Kamau could no longer escape the reality he had tried to hide. The confrontation wasn't messy or loud, it was precise and undeniable. Every denial he threw out was crushed by proof, and the truth shone brighter than any lie. By the time the slideshow ended and the voice note finished playing, the rooftop was silent except for heavy breathing and the distant hum of the city. Aking realized she had won in a way, not by hurting Kamau, but by claiming her clarity and letting the betrayal speak for itself. Tonight, the cheat had been exposed, and there was no turning back. After the confrontation, Aking felt a mix of exhaustion and clarity. Kamau had tried to explain, to apologize, but the truth had already settled like a weight she couldn't ignore. She knew she had to cut ties, not just with him, but with anything and anyone that kept her from moving forward. It was hard at first. Old habits, shared memories, and the comfort of what she thought was love tugged at her, but she reminded herself that trust once broken could not easily be repaired. Wanjiru stood by her side, silent support and understanding in her eyes, both of them realizing some friendships could survive only by letting go of the toxic parts. With the emotional storm behind her, Aking turned her focus to herself. She threw herself into her work, planning a pop-up stall at Masai Market she had dreamed about for months. Every detail mattered, the designs, the setup, even the smallest touches that would make her brand feel personal and authentic. It wasn't just business. It was her way of reclaiming control, proving to herself that she didn't need anyone else to validate her dreams. Friends came through to support her, and as the market opened, the energy of customers and excitement of sales filled the gaps that heartbreak had left. More than success, Aking felt empowered. She realized that boundaries weren't just rules for others, they were promises to herself. Choosing herself didn't mean she was selfish, it meant she valued her peace, her time, and her worth. Each small victory at the pop-up, every satisfied customer, every smile reminded her that she was capable, independent, and strong. The lessons were clear: trust carefully, love wisely, and always remember that no one should dim your light. As the sun set over Masai Market, Aking smiled, not at the past, but at the life she was building, confident that the best version of herself was only just beginning.